Hello, friends, and welcome to the Exploring Washington State podcast. My name is Scott Cowan, and I'm the host of the show. Each episode, I have a conversation with an interesting guest who is living in or from Washington State. These are casual conversations with real and interesting people. I think you're going to like the show. So let's jump right in with today's guest. After much trouble, it seems to start off all my episodes with a statement with that. After much trouble, I am sitting here tonight, virtually sitting here with Claude Brun. And Claude is a participant in the upcoming Ironman down here in Tri-Cities. So this is the third conversation I've had with people involved in this Tri-Cities Ironman for this year. So Claude, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Scott.
Well, as I think I joked with you before, you drew the short straw, and you weren't in the meeting, and they said you get to talk to Scott. So I know a little bit about you. Basically, you are living here in the States for over 20 years, originally from France. Mm-hmm. You got into this sport of marathons and Ironman and triathlons about 9 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I watched this little brief interview you did on TV, and I'm going to jump off from that. So about 9 years ago, you got into this sport. How many marathons have you completed?
Marathon or triathlons?
Let's do marathons first.
I've done, and that was before my triathlon time. I was running, and so I ended up doing 2 triathlons. One here in Seattle, okay, which was kind of checked off my list, never again. And then somehow I ended up doing one in Paris. So back to my home country, which was fun. And okay. So it was a big, very large marathon. So those are the 2 standalone marathon I've done.
Okay. And now, if that wasn't enough, you decided to add the triathlon piece to it. So what was your, I had another guest on that's participating, and, I called her crazy, and I probably call you crazy too. And it is a compliment, not an insult. What is your motivation to push yourself to this? To me, this seems very extreme. So what's your motivation to do this?
So first off, I'd say triathlon doesn't have to be extreme. I know a lot of people associate triathlon with the longest of the triathlon, or the classic triathlon, which is an Ironman, which is crazy and very, very long. You have very short triathlon, and I say on the show last week on the broadcast that anyone can do a triathlon. I will correct there. Anyone in reasonably good shape can do a triathlon. Okay. No major physical issue, although that can be argued as well. But so you have very short triathlon, so it's not necessarily completely crazy. Those short ones are fairly approachable, I'd say. But for me, when I was kind of done checking that marathon box of my bucket list of things to do, I was looking for the next thing, and I'm like, well, I could try a triathlon. I've always loved biking, especially as a kid, and I knew I would be pretty good if I was putting a bit more time on the bike. I was running. I was not a great runner, but I was running, so that was good. And then there was the component of the swimming. I knew how to swim, but I was never really a good swimmer, especially freestyle, which is what you tend to do in triathlons. And so to me, there's one piece I know well, there's one piece I know I'm going to really enjoy, that's the bike. And there's one new piece, so there's this learning. I have to reach that point where I have to learn, I have to improve, and then I can do it. So I started by taking lesson at the pool for a few months, and it was really hard. I remember the few ones I would do 25 yards, and I would be so exhausted. It was crazy. And then eventually one day it clicked, and I was able to do like 100 yards, and I was still alive. And then slowly made my way, at least to a point where, okay, it looks like I can swim freestyle reasonably well. And so now let's try the triathlon. And my goal was one day I want to do an Olympic distance. So Olympic distance is kind of, is the distance, traditional distance of the Olympic game, which is 1.5 kilometer swim, 40 kilometers, which is 24 miles bike ride, and 10K run. I thought that was the reasonable distance, quite quite a goal, but that was kind of my goal. So I started by a shorter one, which is half of that, a sprint triathlon, and did terrible. And I'm like, from there, I was like, okay, I like the challenge. I like it. Clearly, I need to do better. Let's work at it and let's do more.
Okay. Now, I got to ask you this just because the way my brain works. So you grew up in France.
Yeah.
And you liked biking. So that makes me think of the one thing I think about with France and biking is the Tour de France. Mm-hmm. Have you ever watched that in person?
Yes. Growing up, I loved watching the tour. So usually on TV every summer, I would watch every stage. Mm-hmm. And then whenever they would be either going through my hometown or any location I might be on vacation, I would go watch them. So I've seen them a handful of time, either starting the stage or finishing the stage or going through. So not very many, but a few times.
You're the only person I've ever met in my entire life that's actually been present. I mean, we've watched it on TV, I mean, what little they show of it here in the States type thing compared, but you're the only person that I've ever met and I remember it growing up as a kid, just being so impressed with those athletes too. So I've kind of got this endurance athlete, fanboy. How's that? We'll call it a fanboy. Mm-hmm. All right. So now you started this, you didn't do well. You liked it. You wanted to keep going, but now fill me in on a blank. The King 5 interview, how many triathlons have you done this year?
This year, I have done 10 or so, I think.
So that's more distances. Than one a month.
Yeah. I had a stretch in June, I think, May, June, I had a stretch of, July, a stretch of 5 weeks where I would race every week, different distances. So back to back to back to back. So,
okay.
Again, not all are crazy. They're not Ironman. They are either half Ironman or shorter distance. So,
sure, but still, that's. And I know there are people that have done more than that too. But I guess my takeaway that I think I want to know, and I think the audience wants to hear too, is during that stretch, how do you recover from that exertion? What do you have to do to take care of your body so that you can go out and do it again a week later type thing? What's training and recovery look like?
Usually after a race, kind of the day after, I take the day off, and it's like kind of relaxation, bath, massage if I get a chance, just kind of easy walk to get my muscle going, but trying to relax. And then usually the following day, I try to be back usually on the bike for a very easy ride, just to get the legs moving, nothing hard, nothing too long, mm-hmm. And kind of ease back into it. And after kind of 2-3 days, back to my regular kind of training schedule. Really, I tend to recover, I think, pretty quickly, which sometimes makes me wonder if I push hard enough during the race, but. I tend to recover fairly quickly. That's maybe one of my superpower. I don't know, but so it's not really different. If I was not racing the following week, I would probably do a hard training anyway, okay. And so the intensity wouldn't be that different. It's just sometimes the logistics and the overall either travel or preparing stuff different from a race versus training.
Now you're in the Seattle area, which has an abundance of places for you to train. I guess I'm a fair weather person. So what's your training regimen? So we're recording this. It's the end of August. The Ironman we're talking about today is the Tri-Cities one's September 21st. After that, I joke, but Seattle becomes rainy for the next 10 months in a row. I'm kidding. But how do you train during fall and winter? What's that look like for you? Do you go indoors? What's going on?
This year, I'm looking forward to have actually a break in the fall in particular. The last few years, I would be racing all the way through December in different locations. this year, Tri-Cities is my final race of the season and for foreseeable future. And so I don't have to worry about pure triathlon training. So I will continue to train, but I will move more indoor at the gym, doing more core workouts, strength training, fairly light initially, and then gradually increasing. I will run. I mean, it's easy to run even if it's kind of raining or not the nicest weather. I tend to be a little bit of a fair weather person too, to be honest. So if it's really terrible, if I don't have something I have to do, I probably, if I want to run, do it on the treadmill. Um, but yeah, I'll slightly move indoor. That said, during my regular season, I definitely try to run outside. It's easier, it's nicer, it's more enjoyable. But my biking tend to be 95% on the trainer. So it might be a super nice day outside like it is today. Mm-hmm. If I wasn't talking to you tonight, maybe I will ride, and I will ride right where I am right now in this room on my trainer.
On your trainer. Okay. And so let's just say you're not talking to me and you're going to get on the trainer right now at this, at the time that we're recording this. How many miles are you going to put in on a weeknight like this?
During the week, my workout tend to be give or take for about an hour. So depending the virtual ride I take, it's going to be around 20 miles, give or take or so.
Okay.
So an hour of work.
All right. And now we'll call it 3 weeks away from the Ironman and Tri-Cities. What's your preparation going to look like for the next 3 weeks? What do you do to get yourself, both physically and mentally prepared to go and compete in these things?
Well, I have a training schedule that I follow. I work that with my coach. And so it's kind of based on when is my next race, and gradually kind of the intensity, the load is increasing up to usually 2 weeks or so before the race, where intensity remains, but the load and the duration goes down significantly so that my body starts to rest. So my schedule between now and Tri-Cities for the next 10 days, I work out pretty much every day, 1 day of rest usually. And then on the weekends, I have a very, very long workout, which is kind of a race simulation. So I will probably do that tomorrow evening or Saturday morning. I have not decided. It's going to be this week. It's going to be roughly a 2.5 hour ride. So on the trainer. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as I'm done, I will go run for 40, 50 minutes.
Okay.
And I think next week, again, during the weekend, it's going to be even longer on the bike. I haven't fully looked at, but I think it's going to be over 3 hours on the bike and a longer run as well. So it's really kind of almost like the race without the swim. That's really typical as I train for race to do this run bike. We call that break or bike run training with fairly long duration to simulate the race, where I work on the bike, on the run, and also on the nutrition. I have the same nutrition protocol that I will have during the race.
Okay, so when I talked to Jennifer Comfort, she kind of was not elaborating, but going over kind of the nutrition and how you refuel while you're on the move. What is how many calories are you going to try to consume during an Ironman race?
Yeah, I think it's about roughly, the calories I'm going to spend during the event, I think it's around 5,000.
Okay.
So it's a lot of calories, and it's more than my body can have stored. And so, especially on the bike, that's where you have to replenish yourself, and that's something I've learned, especially the last few years at doing better. So a lot of nutrition on the bike, some on the run. Definitely not on the swim. You're in the water, you're swimming, so you can't really do much. But on the bike, it's where you want to. The goal is to make sure that when I finish the bike, I should be kind of at neutral in terms of deficiency of any of any nutrition and weight before starting the run, or very slight deficit, but not much.
Mm-hmm.
So liquid, carbohydrates, sodium in particular, make sure I have whatever I'm using during the bike and before it needs to be replenished to start the run so I can have a good run.
So what sort of specific, how are you getting your sodium replenished? What do you use for that?
I have different kind of product and usually powder that I put in my bottle. So all my nutrition these days is liquid. So powder with sodium and carbohydrates and water on top of that.
Okay. That's just still, I listen to you guys and it's just, I'm baffled by it. I really am baffled, not baffled, but just, it's just, the science behind all of this, where because you're competing, the way I look at it, you're competing with yourself. You're trying to I'm guessing here, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but you're going into this specific race with kind of a plan. You've got a target time you want to get to accomplish these splits in. You want to jump on the river and get out of the river in a certain amount of time. You want to get on the bike and get off the bike at a certain amount of time. You want to run and be done. And then you have to transition. I mean, you're jumping out of a wetsuit into, you're not jumping out of the wetsuit. You're pulling the wetsuit off and you're getting on, you're doing all these things that you probably have to think about optimizing. Now, the last time I heard there was like 2,500 people doing this race in the Tri-Cities. Approximately ballpark.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And so it's not like you're doing it, getting out of the river, going to your bike. You're doing that with a bunch of people around you, and you can't control anybody else but yourself. And so somebody could get in your way. You could get in somebody else's way. All these things, and I'm looking forward to being there. I'm gonna be at this race to watch it. I am looking forward to seeing what I'm going to call chaos because, I'm going to stop and I'm just going to ask you this. So you competed in this race last year, right? Okay. So I want you to go back and I want you to walk me through this. But let's say you were getting ready to go in the first leg, the swim. How many people go in the water at one time?
So I can't remember the exact race, but usually they send 3 to 5 people every 3 to 5 seconds. So you have beep, you have 3 or 4 or 5 people depending the race jumping in the water, and then a few seconds later beep, and the next wave goes. And so to put 2,500 people in the water, I think it's going to take about an hour.
Wow.
So from the very first people going in the water, and you self-seed yourself in those races now, which means they want the fast people to go first.
Okay.
And then the slower people to go later based on your predicted time for the swim. That way everyone has a better experience. You don't have people faster swimming over people which are slower and then being in the way. So that way it's a much more enjoyable swim for everyone. So that's the way it works. So it's fairly spread out.
Okay.
And that's kind of make the chaos fairly controlled. And then you're spread out on the swim to start. You're even more spread out on the bike. Although some courses can become pretty crowded, but that's the way it's organized.
So so you said you kind of self-select where you're going to go in from, let's say 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. So where do you anticipate going in at? Halfway through? First, are you going to be the first guy in the river? You can be the last guy in the river.
Yeah, kind of halfway through. I am not a very fast swimmer, so I tend to be kind of in the middle. So usually they have volunteer with signs saying, and we sign with predicted time, and those times are based on a swim. If it was in a non-assisted swim, meaning not a downriver swim. Tri-City is a downriver swim. So if you were to swim 40 minutes to do the swim leg in a usual race in a lake, let's say, it will take you probably 30 minutes in Tri-Cities, depending how strong the current is. So the time predicted is if you were to swim in a regular race, not a downriver, 40 minutes. So you have someone that might say 40 to 43 minutes. You stand here, and the whole cohort moves together, and then you line up as I described.
Okay. About last year, how long did it take you to do the swim component?
It took me 28 minutes.
28 minutes.
20, yeah, something like that.
And how much time do you think the river gave you? I mean, if you did that in a lake, what do you think that at that pace that you did?
It was like a 30% gain. It would have,
That's a significant. So you've seen the Columbia. You swam in the Columbia. The Columbia, when you look at it, looks like it's pretty just calm. It doesn't look to me like there's current. And so you're telling me that your pace is maybe 30% enhanced by down. Okay. Wow. All right.
Yeah, it moves, and it might be faster this year. It might be slower. It depends how much water,
right.
All those elements. So last year was particularly fast, I think. Okay. So we'll see how this year is.
Okay. All right. So you get out. This is the part that I'm really unclear on. This is the way I'm envisioning it. You got 2,500 bicycles. You got 2,500 helmets. You've got 2,500 pairs of cycling shoes. Even if they're well organized, that seems like chaos to find your bike. It's like, how do you find your bike when you get out of the river?
So you have an enclosed area where all the bikes are, and they are organized by row and by racks and with numbers. And so depending on your bib number, you're going to put your bike the day before the race, in a particular place, and you put it back when we're done with the bike. So you have a number on the rack that indicates where your bike should be. And so it's fairly easy to find. And usually before the race, the day before, or even the morning of, you kind of visualize, okay, I'm going to get off the swim from here. I'm going to walk this way in the third row, or where the tree is, or where this sign is. This is where I'm going to make my right turn to get to my bike, which is halfway through the rocks. That's how I try to visualize, so that I don't have to think. I kind of know where it is, and I get to it easily. I don't have to read the sign on the rack. So it's number 100 to 300 or so on.
Okay. And do you change out of the wetsuit there at the bike? Is that where that happens?
Yes.
Okay. And so what do you have to do with the wetsuit? Do you have to put it on the rack type thing, or what? Or do you just leave it on the ground?
Just usually leave it on the ground.
Okay. So you pull that thing off, you put on your cycling shoes, you put on your helmet, because Jennifer was telling me they're very particular. You have to have the helmet on and strapped. I mean, you can't just, you got to be on purpose. Okay.
Unstrap before you can touch the bike. That's the rules.
Oh, before you can touch the bike. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So now you're going to do all that. You're going to get on your bike. Last year in the Tri-Cities, how crowded was the bike circuit for you?
So it's always interesting for me when I do those races, because I'm more of a mid to slow swimmer, but I'm a very strong biker. So on the bike, I tend to pass a lot of people who are either faster than me on the swim or pass me on the swim. So yeah, it's usually not too crowded, but sometimes I have to pass a fair amount of people, which is in some way kind of fun, because it's always more fun to pass people than being passed by people. So it kind of motivates me to go faster. I don't particularly remember in Tri-City being too crowded. I know at the beginning last year, it's changing this year. There was a lot of when you were just kind of leaving town, a lot of 90-degree turn. So you were more slowing down because of the turn, not so much because of the people. So I don't remember that being as a very crowded race.
Okay. You're going to go out in wine country, which we're going to talk about wine at some point in this conversation, but you're going to drive, you're going to be riding your bike out in the Tri-Cities. It's going to be late September. It's probably going to be what, 8:00 in the morning, ballpark ish.
Yeah, probably. It is. Yeah,
probably. Yeah, ish. So it's not going to be super hot. It's going to be warming up. It's not going to be super, it's not going to be 100 degrees. I mean, let's hope not. You're going to go for this ride. You're going to, cause that's your strong suit. You're going to make up some time there maybe, or that's where you gain ground. You're going to race back to where the bike rack is. So you have to put the bike back in the same bike rack. You have to take off the helmet. You have to change. I didn't even think about your running shoes. Your running shoes have been left behind there as well. Okay. So you got to take off the cycling shoes, put on your running shoes, and off you go. And then you complete the run and you finish this thing. So last year, do you remember your time from last year?
It was 5 hours and 15 minutes.
5 hours and 15 minutes. Okay. I'm tired just hearing that. That's crazy. Okay. So I'm going to put you on the spot. What's your time going to be this year?
It's going to be 4 hours and 59 minutes.
You're going to break 5.
That's the plan.
That's the plan.
It's going to be hard, but that's the plan, and that's what's going to happen.
Have you broken 5 in another Ironman?
No, I came close.
Okay.
I came close, but I have not, and so this is my second attempt this year to make it happen.
So this will be your personal record then. If you cross the line, 4 hours, 59 minutes, and you don't care how many seconds, so to speak, hundreds of seconds, you're like, boom, that's a personal record for you. And that's what you're shooting for.
Yeah. Right. I'll be happy if I beat my time from last year, no matter what. So under 5:15, that would be a good accomplishment because I feel like I was stronger than last year. Mm-hmm. So that's number one goal, but ideally under 5 hours, that's what I'm going after.
Okay.
And that's what I've worked towards. So
now
hard, but
okay. In your age range, if you go sub 5 in your age range, where does that kind of put you in the spectrum of male participants in your age range?
It's hard to say because you never quite know who is going to show up that day at that race. My age group, like many age group, but is very, very competitive. I mean, you have people really doing crazy time, especially on the run, incredible time. So it's very competitive. My guess is that if I'm under 5 hours, I will be in the top 30%, maybe 25% of my age group.
Okay.
So that would be quite good.
That's great. Okay. All right. What happens when you're done? What did you do last year? I guess everything's gonna be compared to what did you do last year. What did you do last year when you finished the Ironman in Tri-Cities?
So my routine, it's me being a little bit of maybe a personality, I don't know, but when I'm done with my race, and maybe if I have some friends and teammates running or doing the same race, I try to see them finish if they are reasonably close in time. I might see some who have crossed the finish line already, but I usually don't stay very long at the finish area. I go back to my hotel. I go gather my bike and my gear, go back to my hotel, clean myself, clean my gear, get that done, get my wetsuit, washed and hanging and drying, and same for the rest. So I'm not even taking a minute to really relax after the race usually. No. And once that's done and I'm clean and I'm a bit refreshed, obviously as I do that, I try to hydrate a lot, replenish that, especially after the run, especially if it's been hot. And then it depends kind of where I am. Usually I go back to the finish line to see some more competitors finish for the reward ceremony. And the award ceremony and the world slot allocation, which I did last year. And then depending kind of the time I have, and if I happen to be, we said we might talk about wine in a wine country, I see if I can find some wine. So in Tri-Cities last year, there was a winery which I know and I wanted to go try out, and I knew it would not be too late. They would still be open. So I went there after kind of the reward ceremony and had a little wine tasting to relax and finish the day in a nice way.
So I got some follow-ups on that topic. So you had wine tasting. Okay. So was it reds or was it whites?
It was mostly reds, but I believe I had one or two whites as well.
I don't know why, but I think red pairs better with Ironman. I don't know why. That's just kind of I don't know. I don't know. That's just kind of, I'm being kind of funny or trying to be kind of funny, but at the same time, I do think, I think I would probably go for red. So what winery did you go to?
Gooseridge.
Okay. And
I knew the name, but I didn't know the winery. They are beautiful properties. It was very nice sunset. So it's very nice. I met a lady there. I could see she had a wristband, so I knew she had done the race too.
Mm-hmm.
Who turned out to be originally from Spain, so both European. She lives in Arizona, so she was traveling to the race, and we've kept in touch. So we had a couple of glasses together, and we were both going to the World Championship that year in New Zealand. So we got to see each other in New Zealand a few months after. And I've seen her at a few races here and there. She's a very strong competitor.
Okay.
So that's someone I met, a triathlete that I met at a winery after a race. And so that happens.
So this year, have you picked out a winery to go and check out?
I have not. So we'll see how I feel. I might hang out in Tri-Cities after the race. I might decide I just want to be back home as quickly as possible. Mm-hmm. Depend also how I feel and how my performance is. So I don't know yet.
You don't know yet. Okay.
We'll improvise.
Okay. So you said teammates, and you're part of an organization in Seattle of triathletes. So let's talk about that for a few seconds. How did you get? I think if I read your bio, which is really small on my laptop screen, which I can't cheat off of right now, did you start the Seattle? Were you part of starting it, or am I misspeaking?
Not yes and no. So when I started with triathlon, I kind of started on my own for the first couple of races, and then I joined an existing club at the time in Seattle, which was the Seattle Triathlon Group, which was a great way to meet people and get a few tips from people who actually know what they are doing, unlike me, and kind of being part of a community, and that was helpful. And I did a few runs with the group, or a few bike rides initially, and just getting some more tips and things to do to be a better triathlete. And then after some years doing that, I wanted to give back a little bit. So a few years ago, 3 years ago, I joined the board of that group, that triathlon group, to help and see if I can contribute in some way to support the club. And one thing that I thought would help the club to have a broader appeal, broader reach, would be to change the name from the Seattle Green Lake Triathlon Group, which was born out of a running club that was around the Green Lake area in Seattle, and to have a more appealing name to a wider audience in the greater Seattle area. And so I suggested we change the name to the Seattle Triathlon Group.
Okay.
Ended up kind of leading the effort to make that happen. We had to go through a number of hoops. We ended up actually creating a brand new entity, which is a nonprofit, and kind of relaunched that. And as part of the relaunch, because I was kind of one of the few one driving the effort, I ended up being the president for a couple of years until last April, where my mandate as a president ended, and I kind of gave the baton to someone else. I'm still on the board, but the club has been doing well in terms of people getting involved, and members and reach and recognition with triathlon organizations. So it's been great to see the growth there.
Approximately how many members are in the group?
We are shy, I think, very close to 300 paid
Okay.
members. We have a very modest membership fee, which is great value. You get a lot of benefits from being part of that. And then but we have a Facebook page which has a reach of over 3,000 people. So people who have some interest or active in triathlon, but not part of the membership per se.
Okay. So you got about 300 members. Do you have any idea of those active members? How many of them might be going down to Tri-Cities?
I do. So we will have, well, as of yesterday, actually, you have 29 people who are signed up for the race.
Wow.
When you sign up for an Ironman race, you can assign you can tell as you register which club you're part of.
Okay.
And so 29 people have said their club, their group is the Seattle Triathlon Group. Now there might be other who are part of our group, who might be members or non-members, but part of the broader kind of family. But they might be racing for another organization, maybe the club of their coach, maybe some kind of brand they're part of, and they pay membership to be part of that. Okay. So I don't know the numbers of people who are affiliated more broadly with us, but it's probably going to be around 50 people. Oh. We'll see. We'll try to take a group picture like we did last year. But a fair amount, and maybe even more than that.
That's really, I mean, that's very impressive to me. Okay. What's the farthest distance you've ever gone to compete in a triathlon?
Well, that would be at that World Championship I mentioned earlier. That was December last year. That was in Taupo, New Zealand. So basically on the other side of the planet. Okay.
Do you have a location you haven't gone to compete that you want to go?
I think I'd love to do one in France, actually. So that would be fun I've never done a triathlon in France, even if I'm from there. I was just biking when I was there, and it's been a while anyway. So that would be fun to do one in France, I think. Otherwise, I'm not necessarily particularly looking at, I want to go do a triathlon in every country or every continent or whatnot. I haven't set that as a goal, but do one in France one day would be fun. Okay.
All right. So New Zealand, when I was talking to Jennifer, I mean, just getting to New Zealand is, logistically, I mean, you get on an airplane, but the point is you've got to put your bike, a very valuable piece of equipment on an airplane. And, if you've ever watched Luggage Handlers, I mean, oh boy, I wouldn't let that thing out of my sight. But you're taking a very, very valuable and well-tuned instrument halfway across the world. How much time does it take you to get your bike ready let's use New Zealand, for example. How long, when you got to New Zealand, you got the bike out, you're making sure everything was the way you wanted it to be. How long does it take you to get that thing dialed in for the race?
It doesn't take me too long. If there's nothing wrong, no incident, no damage, no bang or anything, it takes me a half hour to get it out of the bag and kind of ready, and then maybe some fine tuning. I always obviously test drive it before the race, maybe a few times. So maybe I have some fine tuning to do. But if everything is pretty smooth, it's an hour or less overall. Yeah.
And your bike, about what does that thing weigh?
I think it's about 20 pounds. The bike itself.
Wow.
And with the kind of the bike and the bag I use and the structure, it's usually under 50 pounds. So it's just an oversized luggage.
Right.
When I travel.
Right. But so your bike weighs about 20 pounds. I'm trying to think.
I think, yeah.
I mean, the last time
I don't weigh it every day, but
the last time,
I mean,
so what type of frame is it?
Carbon.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is it the bike, is it built for, what's it okay, is it built for comfort? I mean, is it, it's not built for comfort, but what do you prioritize on a bike for a triathlon or for what do you need? Does that make any sense to you? Like, it's not a mountain bike, right? It's not a big fat tire bike. Is it stripped down like a race bike?
It's a triathlon bike, so it has a particular shape, especially the handlebar, where you're as aerodynamic as possible. Unlike a regular road bike, even kind of race road bike, we talk about the Tour de France, where you're in a peloton, you have to navigate, you have lots of turns, and you have to navigate with other people.
Right.
In a triathlon, it's a time trial format, so you have very few people around you most of the time. You have a limited amount of turns, and so you don't need the same agility, but you need speed, you need aerodynamism, and so it's all about that. So the position is much more aggressive. The handling is a bit more difficult, but you can go faster and cut through the air much better.
And when you're taking that thing out, and what sort of pace do you keep?
It depends the course. I mean, obviously, it's the more elevation or climbing, the pace is going to be different. But on a fairly flat course, I think I'll average probably around 23 miles an hour.
Okay. Wow.
Something like that.
Okay. Now, I promise is the last gear question, but we haven't talked about running. We haven't talked about shoes. How fast? Okay. So when I was speaking with Jennifer, she admitted, and this is, somebody could go listen to this, so I'm not saying anything.
I did listen to.
Okay. So she's got 50 or 60 pairs of shoes in her garage. I mean,
yeah.
I got to put you on the spot. How many pairs of worn out shoes do you keep around?
I don't have very many worn out shoes. I try to get rid of them. Sometimes like in some race, you have to walk through the swim start. So you use those old shoes and then you get rid of them there. And then I try to kind of rotate those. So I must have, not nearly as nearly 60 pair of running shoes. Maybe all in all, I have 10. Some are almost new, and some are almost ready to be end of life, and kind of everything in between. I also have different ones, depending the type of running I do. I have more my nicer one, my race shoes, my training shoes, my more like trail shoes. Maybe it's more than 10 actually. If I count the trail shoes now. Now, if I was to say overall how many pair of shoes do I have, that is a very different question.
Right.
But we're talking running shoes.
So what brand works for you?
I kind of tend to use two brands. Brooks very often, so a local Seattle brand for training. But racing, the last few years I've been racing with Hoka.
With Hoka, okay. Now, are you okay? I have a pair of Hokas, and they've got that gigantic thick sole, and I feel like I'm wobbling on them. You're not running in those, are you?
No, Hoka, they don't have that. Mine are not super high like this. They look more like fairly regular running shoes. I mean, they have some nice cushion, but not crazy.
Because mine, I was actually honestly disappointed in them. They were so. I had no idea how. I don't know. I just didn't feel stable on them. My ankles aren't strong. Okay. So you run in Brooks, or you train in Brooks, and you run in Hokas. Okay. All right. So when you're about how many hours a week are you committing to training on an average week?
Around 8, 9, 10. Okay. So it's about an hour a day during the week, and then a few hours on weekends.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're not working, when you're not training, and we know you like wine, but what else do you like to do for fun and entertainment?
I have to say the last few years has been fairly limited because of my racing and training schedule, and there's always stuff to do around the house or things like that, and that takes usually the rest of my time. But I try to do some some fun stuff, hiking. Living in Seattle every now and then. I used to do some sailing, not as much again the last few years, but we would go sailing, like definitely fair weather sailor,
Okay,
for sure.
okay.
Some traveling. I like to do that too. Again, my travel schedule has been mostly focused around racing, but when I can, I like to go to new places. I'll go to France in a few months to see family and friends. So, and then kind of cooking, eating, wine,
Okay.
friends. Yeah.
That's okay. In the Seattle area, what what for wine? What are you finding in the Seattle area these days? Is there any good, I'll call it a wine bar for lack of a better word, but where's one going these days in the Seattle area? Where's a good tasting room?
So, tasting room, a good friend of mine who's also who I bike every now and then with him. I've done Seattle to Portland bike ride a couple of times with him. He's a winemaker. He has a few tasting room. It's called Structure Cellars in Sodo, south of the stadium in Seattle.
Yep.
And so that's a place where I go on a regular basis. Love his wine.
All right.
And then there are tons of nice wine tasting room in Woodinville in particular. So try to go, and I like always to like discover new ones. Go to one I like. So it depends. Wine bar per se, not that often. I don't really know like a wine bar, but yeah, that's lots of options.
What, so Structure is the name. What is he producing that you like? What is your palate like? What do you tend to gravitate towards?
I gravitate around Bordeaux style wine.
Mm-hmm.
That's, if I had to kind of drink one type of wine for the rest of my life, that would be a Bordeaux, probably right bank. And so the Cab Franc, even some Petit Verdot or some others, I think I like, but usually a Bordeaux blend would be what I would like. Like the most. I'm from the Champagne region though, so I definitely like my Champagne as well.
Now, what little I know about that is we can only call it Champagne if it's from that region. So anything that's made here in the U.S., even though somebody might, like myself, might say it's Champagne, it's not. So sparkling wine. Are there any good Washington sparkling wines that you've encountered?
I don't think there are very many sparkling in Washington. You have some in Oregon a little bit.
Okay.
But in Washington, I haven't seen very many. I don't know. I'm picky with my bubbles, and so I haven't really found one that I particularly like in Washington or anywhere else. Which doesn't mean I wouldn't drink it, but
no. But,
I much prefer. Yeah.
So you say you're picky about your bubbles. What? Elaborate on that for me. What are you looking for? What makes champagne? What makes a delicious champagne in your opinion?
It's something well balanced, definitely not sweet, more on the dry side. And the soil in the Champagne region is a lot of clay and makes it really the perfect soil and condition to get the right champagne there. So kind of hard to describe. And I was saying I'm picky about my bubbles. I mean, the champagne is not necessarily about the bubbles. I mean, it has effervescence, but big bubbles doesn't mean good champagne by any means. Just to be clear, but there are a few brands that I like, and whenever I can find those in the state, I try to get some. But it's this balance, elegance, I think, dryness aspect that I enjoy, which is very different from where I would drink other type of wine. I do love like red wine from many regions. I used to live in Sonoma County, California. When I moved to the States, love wine from there, or Napa. Loved a lot of the Washington wine, Big Cabs or Cab Franc, some other Syrah as well. So,
yeah, Washington has over the years. I mean, it's been multiple decades now that Washington's really upped their wine game, if you will, and it seems like you can't. Okay, so you live in the Seattle area. On every street corner there's 3 Starbucks. So it seems like over here in Eastern Washington, it's on every corner there's a wine tasting room. I mean, there's just an abundance of them everywhere. And as you get down to Tri-Cities, I was shocked. What was the number? I think it's 200 wineries within 50 miles of Tri-Cities. It's some outrageous number to me. It's like, amazing. And there's like 1,400 wineries in the state. I mean, it's just kind of crazy. All right. But I'm not a wine guy. I'm a coffee guy. So I got to put you on the spot. You live in the Seattle area. There's no good coffee in Seattle. You got to tell me where I can go get a good cup of coffee in Seattle.
I can make you a nice espresso at my place. That's
awesome.
Probably where I would start.
Okay. That's solid.
So, yeah.
But what about?
But I mean, like other places. I mean, I don't have I would say I don't have a go-to place.
Mm-hmm.
I have one when I go racing in Oregon, in Salem, Oregon. There is a place that I always go to, and they make the best cappuccino that I've ever had.
In Salem, Oregon.
In Salem, Oregon, yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But so I don't have a go-to place here. I do go to some of those Starbucks to get some drink. That's convenient. Mm-hmm. One place that I like when I'm around there in one of the shopping center in Bellevue is Dote Cafe. They make very, very nice macchiato, espresso, different things. So,
what's your go-to? Like what you said cappuccino, you said macchiato, you said espresso. So what do you what's your go-to coffee drink?
It depends what time it is.
Oh.
Usually in the morning, I would do something like a latte or a flat white. And then after lunch, espresso or espresso macchiato.
Okay.
That kind of, I can do cappuccino every now and then as well. Okay. But I think, if I had to pick one, I like the macchiato with kind of the double shot of espresso and a little bit of foam. I think that's very enjoyable.
Okay.
No sugar, no flavors, nothing.
Yeah, as it should be. No pumpkin spice ever.
Yeah.
All right. So next question I always ask everybody is: so it's about around lunchtime. Where's an interesting place to grab lunch in the Seattle area?
So in one place I like is probably the restaurants I've been the most since I've lived here. It's just it's in Kirkland, South Kirkland, on the water. It's called Grand Bistro Américain, which is an interesting name because it's a French restaurant. But it's kind of your typical kind of or reminds of a typical Parisian bistro, and it's on the water, so you can have great French fries, different French dish, mussels, oysters as well. Okay. So it's actually a nice place for lunch or for happy hours or for a sunset dinner. So I recommend that place.
Okay. All right. As we wrap this up, I'm still amazed by that there's going to be 2,500 people like yourself that are going to go to Tri-Cities. And because the other thing is, this is the one thing is, I got to ask you this. Okay. It's race day. What time are you getting up?
I need to kind of check the schedule exactly of the race, but let's say if my swim start might be around let's say around 7, which means that the swim, or maybe 6:30, let's say the swim we start around 6. And again, I haven't checked the details. I always try to be there early to make sure that my bike's okay, everything's set up. So so I'll probably get up around 4,
Okay.
have breakfast, get to the race venue, set up my stuff, and then slowly get ready to walk to the swim start. So it'll give me plenty of time. Yeah.
So for some people that, you know, in the audience, they just groan when they hear you're saying you're getting up at 4 a.m. to do this. And then there's others of us like myself that like, that's great time. Let's go. Let's get going. Okay. So you're going to start about 4 a.m. You're going to get done. Probably the whole day is going to be wrapped up in within about 12 hours. Let's say by 4 p.m. You've completed everything. You've cleaned up. You've cleaned yourself. You cleaned the bike. You've gone back. You're ready. You're relaxing. So you're spending 12 hours of your day that day. Does that be about fair estimate?
Yeah.
Okay. And is it likely that you would drive back to Seattle that night, or is it likely you're going to stay in Tri-Cities?
It's a 50-50.
50-50.
Last year I did drive back kind of after or around dinner time. I didn't feel too exhausted or tired, so I thought I could do the drive, so I decided to drive back.
That's a long day. That's a long day.
That is a very long day. Yeah, that becomes like easily a 20-hour day where you didn't really rest. So
yeah, that's a long day. Okay. Well, if maybe our paths will cross in Tri-Cities. If not, I wish you that I want you to get back in touch with me and let me know that you broke your time. Okay. I want you to follow up with me, please, and tell me, Scott, I broke the 5-hour mark. I do want to know that. All right. I'm going to be there. The Visit Tri-Cities group has asked me to come down. I'm going to come down there. I'm going to watch the race in various stages of it. I'm going to talk to other people down there that are participating and other things. It's a whole weekend thing for me, which is going to be a lot of fun. If our paths cross, I'll if I see you, I hear your voice or something, I'll reach and say hi. I won't bug you if it's before your race type thing. You know, you got to do your thing, but I wish you personal success and that you break that. Before I ask you my final question, I will ask you this question: is there anything we didn't talk about that we should have?
Not really. I mean, you mentioned the long day. I mentioned the 4 a.m. I would say often the kind of sometimes joke with myself. The toughest part of the race is getting up, and there's really a race where I would be like, okay, it's 4 a.m. Why am I doing this? How about I just stay in bed and do not go racing? And then I realize, I pay for that thing, and I have those goals I've set, so I should get up. But it's I'm not a morning person, so it's kind of hard to get up. Luckily, with experience, I've been able to. I try to go to bed super early the day before, and I tend to sleep fairly well and get a reasonable night's sleep, probably more than the average most of the time. But still, getting up at that early is not. It's one of the toughest part of the day.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I'd love to see you on race. Our Seattle Triathlon Group kit, like we call it, which is a one piece, are very visible. A lot of bright green and blue, so you can't miss us. And hopefully, I will be wearing my kit, so I'll be one of those people wearing these. So,
and there's going to be a large number of you there. That's great. That's awesome.
So that'll be fun, and we cheer each other as we cross paths on the bike on the run, so it's nice.
Okay, so the last question, I'm going to ask you something before I ask you the last question. You said you listened to my conversation with Jennifer. Did you hear this last question? Did you cheat and listen to the very end and hear the question?
I heard the question. I already forgot what it was, but
okay.
I didn't think
that's not a big endorsement. Anyway, so. Okay, so here's the question. Here's the question: cake or pie?
I remember.
And why?
So that's a super easy one for me. It's cake. I'm just not a pie person.
Okay.
And it's cake, and I can tell you which cake in the family for any, since I was a kid, and even to this day when I go back for holiday and birthday, my mom would make this mocha cake. So you like coffee, so it's a coffee buttercream base. Delicious, and there's nothing better in my opinion than that mocha cake. So that's what I grew up with. And even if my mom makes great pie, apple pie, cherry pie, I've always been more of a cake, kind of sweeter person. So that's the one.
Okay. Well, Claude, thank you. I don't know. I'm kidding, but I don't know why you guys do this, but at the same time, I'm so fascinated by all of it because it seems, I mean, you kind of downplay it like anybody can do it. I don't want to say you're wrong. I don't mean, confrontationally, like you're wrong. I think you're giving people way more credit. I think you're underestimating the volume of effort that it takes to do these things. And I really do applaud all of you that are trying and completing. I don't care if I hope you complete it, but what I'm saying is anybody that has the tenacity and the endurance to train, that's amazing to me. I think that's fabulous. And I hope everybody all 2,500 people get their best times ever. That's my goal.
Especially, except if they are in my age group, obviously. But no, absolutely. I'm sorry. Yes, everyone except your age group. How many? And just out of curiosity, how many people do you think are in your age group at this race? I'm going to say around 80.
Oh,
probably. So a fairly large number.
So how big is the age group?
It's 5 years. So, but it's by 5 year slot. You have the men ones and the women's ones. Right. So actually, I was saying, age group. Now it doesn't really matter, and the reason for that is by age group you get slots for the World Championship, which is always kind of the dream for me when I race, and unlikely, but it happened before and you never know. But Ironman changed the system, so it's not necessarily quite by age group anymore. Mm-hmm. It's a different system now. Everybody get mixed together, so you're not necessarily competing just against your age group anymore. You're competing against the field with different handicap based on your age. So it's probably a more fair system, but age group is not that the only thing anymore. So if you complete this in a time that allows you to qualify for the World Championships, when are they? The next one? When is the next one, and where is it? It's going to be in France. It's going to be in Nice, France next year. So it's probably around October time frame, I think.
Well, there you go. Right. You need to qualify just so you can go, and then you accomplish two things. You get to go to the World Championships, and you get to do it in France.
That's a great idea, Scott.
Yes, I think that's what you should shoot for. There, as your coach, I have just given you your motivation. So,
awesome.
Thank you, sir, for your time. You have a wonderful rest of your day.
Same to you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Hope you enjoyed the show. You can reach me on Twitter at ExploreWaState. I'd love to hear your comments. You can also visit our website at explorewashingtonstate.com. If you know anyone who would like the show, it'd be amazing if you'd share the show with them. This is the biggest way that we grow this show. Good old word of mouth. Glad you were here with me today, and I hope to have you listening to the next episode. See you then.